The metallic hum of the Galactic Confederation headquarters filled the air, a constant reminder that this was a place of power and influence. Leo Evans sighed as he adjusted the collar of his blue uniform, blending into the bustling sea of towering alien figures around him. Despite the banter among the larger species, Hakorian and Zephrith alike, he felt like a whisper in a roaring storm. "Hey, Leo," called out Ben, an over-enthusiastic Zoidarian with skin that shimmered like scales. He was nearly twice Leo's height. "You in there?" "Yeah. Just thinking," Leo replied, smiling half-heartedly as he looked up from the array of screens illuminating his small workstation. Ben leaned over his desk, the scent of burnt ozone wafting from his metallic appendages. "Thinking," Ben teased, his gaze sweeping across the room. "Shouldn't you be decrypting some ancient alien script or something?" Leo chuckled. "Very funny. Maybe if I wasn't so busy musing over how to stay unnoticed, I could focus better. You know, if you keep that up, one day you'll be the one who needs to stay hidden," Ben joked, his voice full of mischief. "Sure, Ben. And you'll be the one running the entire Confederation," Leo grumbled, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. He felt Ben's eyes roll even if he couldn't see it. Before he could dive into another string of codes on his screen, a group of Sarathians floated by, their translucent bodies casting shimmering shadows. Leo's breath hitched when he heard their laughter. He could never quite make out what they were saying, but the tone was unmistakably mocking. "Another day in paradise, huh?" Leo muttered, bitterness creeping into his voice. "You've got this, buddy. You're the best decryptor in the whole division," Ben encouraged. Leo shot him a raised brow. Big talk coming from the one who can't even sync his holodisplay properly. "Touché," Ben conceded, chuckling. "But hey, want to grab a drink later? I can set up a hologame. You might find it more fun than deciphering the ancient scripts of the Tluvans." "Maybe later," Leo replied, waving his hand dismissively. "Right now, I need to focus on this." As Ben sauntered away, Leo felt the weight of his loneliness settle in again. He was the smallest human in the room, and the odds were always stacked against him. Even during brief social interactions, he felt invisible among the giants of the Galactic Confederation. Just then, a figure approached him, a shimmering form with distinctive features. Alicia, the Sarathian diplomat, was known for her composure and grace. She settled next to him, her jelly-like structure glimmering as she did. "Leo Evans," she greeted, her voice a melodic blend of tones, soft yet assertive. "I've heard a lot about your skills. Is it true you can decipher the Plinthian language effortlessly?" He blinked, taken aback by her sudden interest. "Well, it's somewhat true. I can manage the basics, at least." "To manage the basics?" "That's like calling a star supernova a warm glow," she remarked with a playful lilt. "Yes, perspective matters," Leo said, a shy smile creeping onto his face. "What do you need?" "I didn't think a diplomat of your stature would come down to the analytical level." She leaned closer, her form shimmering softly. "I require insight into a potential threat facing the Confederation. You're one of the few who can translate the ancient texts linked to this situation." Leo frowned. "What kind of threat?" "An assassination plot," she whispered. "Someone wants to silence a powerful leader. I'm considering forming an alliance with certain factions. But I can't do it alone." "That sounds dangerous," Leo said, his heartbeat quickening. "Perhaps," Alicia replied, her eyes glinting with intrigue. "But you seem more capable than you admit, Leo. If we work together, work together." Leo interjected, incredulous. "Why would you want the smallest human here to assist you?" "Because," she said, tilting her head slightly, "sometimes the smallest figures hold the most power. Ants can topple a giant." Taking a deep breath, Leo felt a rush of disbelief and excitement. "Okay, I'm in. But I'm not sure how much help I'll be." "Let's discover that together," she replied, a warm smile lighting up her features. As they dove into the work, he felt a rapid shift in his environment. For the first time, he wasn't just a small man in a vast room, he was part of something significant, collaborating with someone who valued his intellect. Hours passed as they navigated through riddles and codes. Alicia occasionally tapped his arm with her ethereal tendrils, her presence providing both motivation and comfort. He became lost in the data, fueled by adrenaline and the awkward yet electric connection that grew between them. "Do you think they'll listen to us?" he asked. wiping sweat from his brow as frustration bubbled up during a particularly tricky segment of translation. I believe they will, especially if we present our findings convincingly, Alicia said with confidence. But we must work quickly. Time is of the essence. Just as he began losing hope, the final piece clicked into place. I think I've got it, Leo exclaimed, his voice almost echoing in the quiet room. Alicia leaned in closer, her eyes wide with approval. Show me. With shaky hands, Leo highlighted the scroll's final line, revealing clues that suggested the plot stretched beyond mere lies. It was a web of manipulation involving multiple species. This doesn't just involve an assassination. It could incite war. Her gaze turned serious, glimmering with determination. Then we must act swiftly. As they stood there, a moment passed where their eyes locked. For a brief heartbeat, the air was electric. Leo felt a warmth spilling out from her gaze, and he suddenly wished for nothing more than to know her, really know her. Alicia, he began, his voice barely above a whisper, thank you for believing in me. She smiled, her features softening. You're welcome, Leo. Together, we can change the narrative. With newfound purpose, Leo felt more than just the weight of responsibility. He felt seen, valued, and perhaps, just perhaps, ready to step into a larger role than he had ever envisioned. Little did he know, this alliance was just the beginning of something far more significant. This chapter establishes a foundation for Leo's journey, focusing on his character development, budding relationship with Alicia, and the potential conflict that lies ahead while incorporating dialogue and interactions with other characters. Let me know if you need any adjustments or additional chapters. Chapter 2, An Unforeseen Alliance. The Grand Conference Room of the Galactic Confederation towered above Leo, its high ceilings decorated with bioluminescent art that danced like stars. He stood nervously at the entrance, his palms slightly damp. Today, they would present their findings about the assassination plot that threatened not only a prominent leader but potentially the entire alliance between species. Relax, Leo, Ben whispered, nudging him as they walked in together. Just remember, you know more than most of them combined. Easier said than done. Leo cast a wary glance at the assembled delegates. Tall, imposing figures filled the seats, some flicking through holographic devices while others engaged in discussions oblivious to his and Ben's presence. Just stick to the facts, Ben advised, offering an encouraging nod. You've got this. Alicia entered shortly after, gracefully gliding into the room. Heads turned as she approached. Leo couldn't help but notice how her iridescent form effortlessly commanded attention. She scanned the room, making her way to Leo and Ben, her expression uncharacteristically serious. Are you ready? She asked, a hint of determination in her tone. As ready as I'll ever be, Leo replied, summoning a small smile. But I wish I didn't feel like a mouse in a lion's den. Think of it this way, Alicia said, tilting her head slightly. You might be small, but a mouse can provoke a lion's curiosity. Or terror, Leo added dryly, rubbing the back of his neck. Ben chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. As long as we don't make any puns about cats, we'll be fine. Leo shot him a look. Thanks for the confidence boost. Suddenly, the head delegate, a towering figure named Orcs from the Orcs species, stood. His deep voice resonated throughout the room. We will begin. Alicia, you may present your findings. Leo felt his heart race as he stepped forward beside Alicia. The delegates leaned in, their eyes on him, the air charged with expectation. Alicia opened the display, showcasing the decrypted messages. Respected members of the Confederation, we have uncovered a detailed assassination plot targeting leader Zurak from the Orcs Alliance. This document reveals the identities of several individuals attempting to undermine both his leadership and the broader interspecies alliance. Are those the figures involved? A Xanthorian, Jadari interjected, his voice laced with skepticism. How can we trust a human to decipher our threats? You could have missed crucial points. Because you were too busy preparing for battle instead of this, Leo replied, his voice steady despite the audience's murmurs. This isn't just anyone. The Orcs hold strategic ground near essential trade routes. Disrupting their leadership jeopardizes us all. Preposterous. Hotari's voice boomed, drawing attention. A mere analyst thinks he can dictate what's important? Actually, Leo said, surprising even himself with his boldness. That merely an analyst has stepped up to unveil a conspiracy that could throw us all into chaos should be a cause for concern. The room fell silent for a split second, all eyes on Leo. Alicia placed a reassuring hand on his arm, conveying both strength and surprise. Before Jadari could retort, Orcs cleared his throat. Let us hear the evidence presented. Leo continued, pulling up the documents on the screen. The communication patterns indicate a network of conspirators, not just one species, but multiple factions collaborating in secrecy. They intend to hold destabilizing meetings disguised as trade discussions. That's a serious claim, Orcs uttered, his brow furrowing. Do you have proof? Absolutely, Leo responded, feeling a surge of adrenaline as he pointed to the specific coded message on the screen. Notice the timestamps. Meetings are scheduled across borders, with each faction maintaining a facade of non-involvement. They're keeping their true intentions hidden from everyone. The delegates murmured to one another, intrigue swirling in the air. Alicia took a step forward, her presence captivating. If we act now, we can intercept their plans and share the information before it spirals into larger conflicts. We need partnership, not division. A lesser-known delegate, a smooth-skinned Letherian named Aethra, raised a hand. What's in it for us? Why should we intercede? This may simply be humanity's chaos. Because, Leo interjected, if you wait, it could be too late. The Ferox may strike first out of fear, sending us into a war for territory and resources. Jadari crossed his arms. War will happen regardless. Perhaps, Leo countered, feeling emboldened. But it's our responsibility to prevent it. By working together for mutual understanding, we can transform a potential disaster into an opportunity. Opportunity, Aethra echoed, eyebrow raised. What do you propose? Alicia looked at Leo, and instinctively he felt the encouragement radiating from her. I suggest we hold a joint meeting with the Ferox. This could lead to transparency, and they may value the chance to calm tensions. Orcs nodded thoughtfully. A bold strategy. Still, we must consider the risks involved. There are those who will oppose this course of action. We face risks whether we act or not, Leo said, his heart pounding in his chest. What's important is that we act collaboratively. If we don't unite, how can we ensure stability? The atmosphere hung heavily, delegates exchanging glances laden with uncertainty and consideration. Alicia stepped back a little, allowing Leo to take the spotlight for longer than he expected. He felt the weight of the moment, knowing this was not just about the Ferox or the impending threat, but about humanity's reputation in the galaxy. Leo, you've hit upon something vital, Orcs said, nodding with newfound respect. If we choose the path of solidarity, the rewards may exceed the risks. Right? Jadari remarked, his tone less confrontational now. But we have to be smart about this. The Ferox will be cautious. Ben leaned close to Leo, whispering, You did it, man. You convinced them. I just hope it's enough, Leo muttered, feeling adrenaline ebbing away and uncertainty creeping back in. Then let us put this to a vote, Orcs announced, his booming voice filling the room once again. Those in favor of establishing a meeting with the Ferox regarding the situation? As hands began to rise, Leo's heart raced. Alicia shot him a look, her eyes filled with gratitude and something deeper, sparking anticipation for the road ahead. 7, 8, Orcs counted. And opposed. Leo held his breath, feeling the room shift. Only Hotari's hand rose. The decisive vote rang through the air. There you have it, Orcs soared. We will reach out to the Ferox and schedule a meeting. The room buzzed with chatter as representatives began to depart. Before Leo could fully process what had just happened, Alicia turned to him, her expression radiant. You did it, she said, a melodic happiness in her voice. You made them listen. Yeah, Leo said, still processing the moment. I guess I did. But we're not out of the woods yet. No, she agreed, stepping closer, her glow softening. But now we're on the right path, together. As they exchanged looks, Leo felt an unfamiliar spark. It was something beyond mere partnership. It felt like a connection building, a thread weaving them into a more profound story. Well, looks like we've got a lot of planning ahead, Ben interjected, grinning widely. Just so long as you keep the jokes to a minimum, Leo retorted, feeling lighter as they exited the grand room, ready to face whatever lay ahead, together. They were in it together. This chapter focuses on the growing alliance while emphasizing character relationships. Leo's interactions with Alicia, Jadari, and Ben build tension and foster a sense of camaraderie without losing sight of the stakes involved. Let me know if you need any adjustments or additional elements. Chapter 3. The underlying conspiracy. The sun had just set over the sprawling Arcadia city, casting long shadows that danced across the streets. Leo leaned against the sleek metal railing of the Confederation's balcony, scanning the horizon. City lights flickered like stars, but the unease gnawing at his gut overshadowed the beauty of the scene. "Penny for your thoughts?" Ben said, joining him with a steaming mug of purple liquid. "Thanks," Leo replied, accepting the drink and taking a cautious sip. The flavor was an odd mix of sweet and bitter, but it gave him a comforting warmth. "Just thinking about the meeting with the Ferox. I want it to go smoothly." "You've put in the hard work, man," Ben reassured him, taking a seat on the railing. "You translated the conspiracy, you made them listen. Now it's about keeping them interested. Right?" Leo sighed, trying to shake the weight off. "But what if we end up leading them into a trap? Then we'll handle it together," Ben said, his earnest tone cutting through Leo's anxiety. "You're not alone. I just don't want to let anyone down," Leo admitted, staring out into the night. "Guess you're not the only one," came a soft voice. Alicia glided toward them, her luminous form glowing in the twilight. "Hey, Alicia," Ben greeted, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "Mind if I borrow Leo for a moment? Or do we need a Sarathian's approval?" Alicia chuckled, the humor evaporating some of the tension. "You're welcome to him. But remember, we have work to do." "Right, work?" Leo echoed, trying to push the weight off his shoulders. "What's on the agenda?" "Let's go over the decrypted messages again," Alicia suggested, her tone shifting to seriousness. "We need to ensure we didn't miss anything critical before we approach the Ferox." "Yeah, of course," Leo said, trying to match her intensity. He waved Ben off, then followed Alicia into the building. The corridor was lined with advanced technology, holographic screens floating midair, flashing with updates and data. As they entered the secured lab filled with screens and devices, Alicia leaned over one of the displays. "Here it is." Leo joined her, his brow furrowed as he studied the text. The alien language resembled fluid script that morphed into shapes and symbols. He squinted, adjusting his glasses. "Let's start here. What do you think this phrase means?" Alicia asked, pointing to an ominous segment. "When the blood moon rises, chaos will reign," Leo read aloud. "That sounds foreboding." "Gives me chills," she replied, tilting her head, her eyes scrutinizing Leo intently. "This isn't just about a single assassination. It's deeper than that." "Agreed. There's a network involved." Leo tapped on another piece of data. "Look at this, their sessions were coded, but there's a pattern indicating multiple delegates met under the pretext of trade discussions." "That's significant," Alicia said, her face reflecting determination. "It means they're coordinating for something much larger. We can't just warn the Ferox. We need allies." "More allies?" Leo's skepticism seeped through. "With who? Are we considering any of the other factions?" "Maybe," she replied, tapping her chin thoughtfully. "I'd like to approach the Lutheri. They're often overlooked, but they hold important insight." Leo nodded. "It might be risky. The Lutheri haven't been fond of humans." "Even more reason to reach out," Alicia said firmly. "This crisis could change perspectives. They might want to save their own." As they continued to pore over the details, a workstation chirped, alerting them to incoming messages. Leo glanced at the screen displaying a scramble of codes. "What is this? It doesn't look normal." "Let me check," Alicia said, accessing the message. Her expression shifted from intrigue to alarm. "It's a transmission from one of the factions involved." Leo stepped closer, attention rising in the air. "What does it say?" "Gather the forces. The time approaches." Alicia's voice hardened as she continued reading. "They're mobilizing. They have inside information." "Inside information on what?" Leo asked, his heart racing. I don't know yet, but this implicates a bigger scheme. They're not just targeting the Ferox leader any longer. They are planning something much larger. Alicia paused, her gaze locking onto Leo's. We need to find out who else is involved. Leo leaned over the screen, scanning through the fragmented text, his mind racing. It's all coming together. If we don't act fast, we could lose everything. Alicia finished for him, her tone grave. Let's pull in Ben and see if we can gather any insight from other sources, Leo suggested, determined. We need all hands on deck. Agreed, Alicia said, gathering her data pad. Let's get Ben. They exited the lab and soon found Ben chatting with a group of Zenthrians, their luminous features putting off radiant light as they animatedly discussed matters Leo couldn't quite decipher. Ben, we need to talk, Leo interrupted, catching his friend's attention. There's been a development. Sure thing. Give me a moment, Ben replied, turning back to the Zenthrians. Leo glanced at Alicia as Ben finished up. What do you think the Zenthrians know? They seem engaged. They often pick up information through trade routes, Alicia said. We should ask. Maybe they could help us establish connection. NS with the Luthery, Leo suggested. At last, Ben rejoined them, his expression curious. What's going on? We've uncovered new intel, Leo explained, summarizing the decrypted messages and the threat. It seems broader than we anticipated. Essentially, we need your skills to branch out, Alicia added. The Luthery may hold valuable information on the other factions' movements. Can you communicate with their traders? Consider it done, Ben replied with enthusiasm. I have a few contacts. How soon do we need to act? We need to move quickly, Alicia said. The factions involved have already started mobilizing. Every second counts. Okay, I'll set up meetings and see if I can get us someone from the Luthery, Ben said, his voice steady. We can strategize from there. Perfect, Leo replied, feeling a sharper focus settle over the three of them. Let's stay sharp. With a clear plan in mind, the trio dispersed into sections of the hub. Leo was invigorated by the growing sense of purpose. As he made his way back to the lab, he felt a change in the air, not just the looming threat but something brewing between him and Alicia. Their teamwork had grown their connection. Ben caught up beside him. Hey, you okay? You've gone quiet. Yeah, it feels like we're on the edge of something, Leo replied, glancing at Ben. But it almost feels promising. It's more than that, Ben said, his tone earnest. You and Alicia have a connection. I see it. Just focused on the mission, Leo said quickly, avoiding the full truth. Ben shrugged. Sure, but it's more than just a mission, Manitoba. You need to consider what this means for you. Leo shook his head. What it means is that we have to work together to untangle this conspiracy. We can't afford to get distracted. Just keep your mind open, okay? Ben replied before heading off to make the contacts. Alicia soon rejoined him, breaking his train of thought. You ready to dive back into things? Of course. Let's see what we can uncover. He could feel a new energy coursing through him. As they returned to the lab, Leo knew that every action and conversation from here on out would shape their fate in ways they couldn't fully yet comprehend. But one thing stood clear, they would navigate this together, bringing light to the shadows that loomed. End of Chapter 3. This chapter continues to build the conspiracy while developing the relationships among the main characters, highlighting dialogue and teamwork. The growing tension sets up the scene for future action. Let me know if you need more. Chapter 4. Moments of Vulnerability. The vastness of Arcadia City loomed as Leo stood with Ben and Alicia in an inconspicuous corner of the marketplace. Known for its vibrant exchanges and eclectic crowds, it contrasted sharply with the gravity of their mission. Brightly colored stalls lined the streets, offering everything from exotic foods to advanced technology, yet Leo's mind was elsewhere. Are you sure this is the right place? Leo asked, glancing around, unease creeping into his voice. Ben leaned against a nearby stall, a half-eaten stick of luminous fruit in one hand. The Luthery are notorious for their discretion. If they're hiding, this is where they'll be. Discretion or not, they're still a non-human faction, Leo said, skepticism creeping into his words. We're pushing our luck showing up like this. Alicia stepped closer, her eyes shimmering with determination. We need the Luthery's insight. They keep tabs on multiple factions and their intelligence could help us expose the conspiracy. I get that. But what if they don't want to talk to us? What if they see a human and shut down? Leo countered. Then we'll have to convince them otherwise, Ben chimed in, his nonchalant demeanor at odds with the weight of their situation. As they navigated through the bustling crowd, a tall, slim figure stepped into their path. It was a Lutheri, his skin covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors in the light. "You seek a meeting?" the Lutheri inquired, his voice smooth yet wary. "Yes, we do," Alicia replied confidently. "I'm Alicia, a diplomat from the Sarathian Alliance. This is Leo and Ben." The Lutheri scrutinized Leo, his expression unfathomable. "And what interest do you have in our affairs?" "We're looking for information about certain factions mobilizing against the Orcs," Leo interjected, determined to steer the conversation. "We believe your insight could be invaluable." The Lutheri's gaze flickered to Ben. "And the human? What does he know?" "More than you might think," Ben snapped, stepping forward. "You underestimate us." "This isn't about underestimating anyone," Alicia said, her tone sharper. "The reality is that we're in a precarious situation. We need your assistance before it's too late." The Lutheri eyed them for a moment, then shifted his weight. "Follow me." With a silent nod, the group trailed behind the Lutheri as they entered a narrow alley. Here, the vibrant noise of the market faded, replaced by an eerie stillness. They emerged into a hidden courtyard, lush with bioluminescent plants that softly glowed. "Impressive," Ben murmured, glancing at the flora. "Enough with the flattery," the Lutheri instructed, guiding them to sit on stone benches. "Now speak." Leo took a deep breath, the gravity of the moment settling over him. "We've analyzed communications and uncovered that various factions are coordinating against the Orcs leader. We fear it's part of a larger scheme." The Lutheri remained still, absorbing the information. "And how does this concern us?" Alicia leaned in, eyes locked onto the Lutheri. "You have intel on several factions. You're positioned at the crossroads of many alliances. This is crucial." After a moment of silence, the Lutheri shifted slightly. "There have been unusual gatherings among the factions, yes. They whisper of a rise to power. But what can you offer in return for this information?" "Access to each of our factions. If you help us, we will ensure we share what we learn about the conspirators," Leo proposed. "Trust is not given, it is earned," the Lutheri replied, arms crossed. "Then help us earn it," Ben said, leaning forward. "You know what's at stake for all of us, especially with the Orcs involved." More time passed, the tension thick in the air. Finally, the Lutheri stood. "I will consider your offer, but trust comes at a price. You will need to prove your loyalty and commitment to the Alliance. Attend a meeting of mine with the other factions. Face whatever test they will lay before you." "What's this test?" Alicia asked, concern etching her features. "The test of will. It's simple, prove you have the resolve to be part of a united front. You'll need to endure adversities." Leo felt his heart race, uncertainty flooding his mind. "Adversities? What kind?" "Discussions can turn heated. And you will meet those who do not take kindly to outsiders, especially humans." The Lutheri's voice held a touch of amusement. "Are you prepared for that?" "Bring it on," Ben said with bravado, though Leo could sense the underlying tension in his friend's voice. "I will inform you when the time comes," the Lutheri said, a hint of approval in his tone. "But I caution you, do not underestimate the strength of alliances." As the Lutheri left, Leo let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "I didn't expect that." "Neither did I," Alicia said, her gaze distant. "But we've crossed a line now. We can't back out." "Right," Leo replied, rubbing the back of his neck, the weight of reality pressing down on them. "Let's regroup and prepare for whatever's coming next," Ben suggested, tucking his hands into his pockets. They made their way back into the bustling marketplace, the fluorescent lights almost blinding in comparison to the courtyard's dim glow. As they weaved through the crowd, Leo couldn't shake off the feeling that they were stepping into a storm. "Let's find a quieter place to gather our thoughts," Alicia said, motioning toward a small cafe adorned with luminous flora, settling into a corner table. Leo picked at the vibrant array of food that pulsed with energy. Alicia leaned in, her expression serious. "We need to strategize. The stakes have risen." "Agreed," Ben said, leaning forward, attention rapt. "But let's be honest, do you think we're ready for what's next? The Lutheri's test? They're not going to make it easy." "I've faced tougher challenges," Leo replied, trying to boost morale but feeling his own doubts. "If we band together, we can handle anything. Just remember, it's not just about getting through the tests. It's about showing that humans can be trusted," Alicia said, locking eyes with him. Leo met her gaze, feeling an unexpected warmth. "And that's why we have to stick together." "Exactly," Ben grinned. "A united front is key. Whatever we face at that meeting, we'll get through it. Whether it's some heated debate or a physical challenge." Alicia added, her tone lightening. "Just keep your wits about you." As laughter bubbled among them, Leo felt a sense of comfort, not just from the camaraderie, but from the underlying bond that had formed in the trenches of uncertainty. "Let's make a plan. Leo suggested, taking a breath. We can review strategies and tactics for the upcoming meeting, and how we can leverage each other's strengths in any scenario, right? I can focus on negotiation tactics while you and Ben can think of strategies for rallying the others, Alicia proposed. Their discussion flowed through the cafe, the air filled with laughter and encouragement. As Leo shared ideas, he caught Alicia's eye once more. He felt a current pass through him, stronger than before, something deeper that hinted at possibilities beyond simple friendship. It was about the journey ahead. A journey that they would all take together, facing whatever adversities lay in wait. Outside, Arcadia City sparkled, a star-studded backdrop for the unfolding mission. Leo knew they were on the precipice of something monumental, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were entering a pivotal chapter of their lives. This chapter dives deep into both character interactions and their strategic planning for the challenges ahead. The dialogue reinforces their camaraderie, setting the stage for the trials to come. Let me know if you need more or if there are any adjustments. Chapter 5. Master of the game. The meeting hall of the Lutherie was a vast space filled with bioluminescent artistry that flickered like stars suspended in midair. Leo stared in awe at the intricate design above them as he, Alicia, and Ben entered the room, their footsteps echoing ominously off the polished stone floor. Impressive, isn't it? Alicia remarked, her eyes reflecting the ethereal lights. Yeah, it's gorgeous. But I feel like we're walking into the lion's den, Leo muttered, his throat dry despite the awe-inspiring surroundings. Just keep your cool, and remember what we practiced, Ben advised, nudging Leo for reassurance. We've got this. Alicia stepped forward, her voice steady. We're here to negotiate alliances, not to antagonize. Before Leo could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows, an imposing Lutherie with scales that shimmered like molten metal. Welcome. I am Torin, the Speaker of the Council. You are here to demonstrate your commitment to the Alliance. Thank you, Torin, Alicia said, stepping forward confidently. We want to share vital information regarding the factions plotting against the Ferox leader. Torin's gaze shifted to Leo and Ben, appraisal evident. A human and a Zoidarian. Bold choices, indeed. Boldness is necessary in these times, Leo stated, trying to sound more confident than he felt. We came to you for support, but to earn your trust as well. The test is not verbal. It must be manifest, Torin replied. You must face an exercise of resolve. Will you accept? Sure. What's the exercise? Ben asked, enthusiasm boiling just beneath his surface. The trial of unity, Torin explained. You will be placed in a scenario that challenges your abilities to work as a cohesive unit. You must demonstrate unwavering commitment to each other and to the Alliance. Leo exchanged wary glances with Alicia and Ben. That sounds vague. What kind of challenges are we talking about? Some might find themselves tested on their physical endurance while others may face intellectual puzzles, Torin replied. It varies based on your strengths. Okay, well, we're ready for whatever comes next, Leo said, forcing a grin though his stomach nodded. Very well, Torin said, motioning for them to follow. They walked through a pair of heavy doors, entering a stark yet ornate chamber with 3 separate platforms arranged in a triangle. Here, you will split into 3 teams, Torin explained. Each of you will face challenges that assess your ability to collaborate despite your differences. Does this mean we can't work together? Alicia asked, brows furrowing. Precisely, Torin replied. Each challenge will gauge how you support one another while remaining separate in execution. It tests your resolve, communication, and unity. Got it, Ben said, straightening up. We'll show our strengths. This isn't just a competition, Torin added, his tone serious. It's about survival. The fate of your people may depend on it. Only once you complete the tasks can we discuss the larger situation outside these halls. Understood, Leo said, trying to mask his anxiety. Let's do this, team, Alicia said, her expression firm. Torin gestured to the first platform. You will face a series of physical obstacles designed to test your coordination as a group. Timing is critical. This challenge simulates an urgent scenario. Let's go, Ben said, stepping forward with enthusiasm. In moments, they found themselves standing on the platform, the ground shifting around them to form various obstacles, walls, pits, and hurdles that seemed daunting. All right, Alicia said, surveying their environment. We need to stay coordinated. Let's create a plan and communicate throughout the challenge. Right, Leo replied, already feeling the pressure encroach on him. The signal to start blared as the ground shifted. Walls began to rise, barriers pressing closer around them. They had to jump, climb, and navigate through a maze that morphed with every passing second. Over here, Ben shouted, pointing to a narrow opening. I can't fit, Leo exclaimed, aware of the physical gap in between the barriers. Quick, I'll lift you, Ben replied, moving into action. He reached down as Leo scrambled to grab hold, pulling him upward with surprising strength. Climb, Ben urged, maintaining his hold. Go. Go. I'm almost there. Leo grunted, pushing himself through. He barely made it through before one of the walls pressed down close behind him. There's another wall ahead, Alicia called out, navigating to the side. Ben, we need to climb it together. On it, Ben shouted, reaching for both of them. Let's go, Leo. Grab my hand. With teamwork propelling them, Leo reached Ben's outstretched hand, pulling himself upwards. Alicia followed, climbing onto Ben's back. Don't drop me, she teased, laughing just as they finally topped the wall. Okay, I'm not a shuttlecraft, he grumbled, catching his breath. More walls began to rise behind them, shifting obstacles appearing in rapid succession. Keep moving. We can't stop, Alicia yelled. Let's stick to the side, Ben directed, sprinting ahead, Leo and Alicia close behind as they dove through another narrow pathway. Torin watched from the outside, assessing their movements. They are showing promise, he whispered to another Lutheri by his side. With coordinated effort, they tackled each new obstacle, sprinting through net-like barriers and crawling under tight spaces. Exhaustion weighed heavily on them, but they pressed on. Finally, they slid down an incline, landing at the final stretch, 3 gates blocking their path. Each gate pulsed with an electric glow, each marked with symbols they had memorized during preparation. Which one? Leo gasped, glancing between Alicia and Ben. We need to remember what those symbols meant, Alicia urged, scrambling for clarity. I think it was the 3rd gate, Ben called, eyeing the symbols frantically. I saw notes about it. Leo took a split second to think. Trust your gut. We need unity in our decision. All right, the 3rd gate, Alicia confirmed, and they rushed toward it, pushing it open simultaneously. They burst through, tumbling onto the ground beyond. Did we do it? Leo panted, watching the barriers that had tested them. Now static, a loud chime echoed through the hall, signaling their completion. Torin appeared, a hint of acknowledgement glimmering in his eyes. Well done. You have united in purpose, and through your collaboration, passed the first trial. Great. What's next? Ben exclaimed, catching his breath. The next trial involves a mental challenge, Torin explained. Prepare yourselves, as the puzzle will require close communication and trust as well. Bring it on, Leo declared, his determination rising. They moved to the next platform, the air thick with anticipation. This time, they faced intricate panels with encrypted messages glowing ominously before them. Another puzzle? Alicia observed, her brow furrowing in concentration. Let's work together to break it down, Leo said, concentrating hard. We've got this. As discussions swirled among the 3, frustration and clarity intertwined. They had to decode the messages and move swiftly. A challenge not just of intellect, but of their synergy. Minutes passed as the pressure mounted. Leo found himself lost in a whirlwind of data, scrambling to understand the patterns. Just as doubt crept in, he saw the flicker of realization reflected in Alicia's eyes. Leo, she exclaimed. This part is the same format as the communications. We can break them down. Yes, that's it, Leo replied, excitement fueling his resolve. Let's decode this together. As they worked through, Ben offered his insights, and their dialogue fueled one another's focus. The rush of energy propelled them as they strived toward completion. Torin observed with keen interest, nodding approvingly as they delved deeper into their collaboration. Finally, as the last message decoded and illuminated the platform, another chime echoed, followed by Torin's voice. Impressive. You have completed both trials. You have proven your resolve and commitment. Are we in? Ben asked, breathless and hopeful. Your willingness to adapt, to collaborate, and to communicate has laid the groundwork for an alliance, Torin announced. You have passed the trials. Leo felt a rush of relief surge through him. This was not just a victory in the trials. This marked a significant step forward for all of them, solidifying their position ahead of the looming threat. Now, we discuss the situation with the Ferox, Torin continued. You have earned the right to enter these negotiations. As they exchanged glances, the weight of what lay ahead mingled with the adrenaline of accomplishment. Leo felt a current of anticipation unfurl. A journey that had begun with uncertainty was now poised for something momentous. Let's go, Alicia said, nodding firmly, her eyes sparkling with determination. Together, they stood, ready to step into a future intertwined not just by alliances but forged through trust, challenge, and teamwork. This chapter concludes the challenges set by the Lutheri while building relationships among the characters and highlighting their growth. Let me know if you need more or any adjustments.